And now we look at some of the questions we receive from you, our viewers. Let me turn to Sheikh Ala. Sheikh, one of the questions we receive very often is this one about Muslims facing the Kaaba while they pray. We say that we do not worship any idols, and yet there you have the Kaaba, and it's got the black stone, and that seems to smack of idol worship. How do you respond to that?
That's a very good question indeed, but we have to understand there's two folds to this answer. One, that our scholars teach us that God Almighty gives us a command, and He expects us to obey the command without any questioning or any debating, just obedience to the command of God Almighty. The second, God Almighty tells us the reason, illah. He gives us a, do this, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So you do this, you will learn taqwa, piety, and.
You mean in some cases?
In some cases, He tells us the reason we ask you to do this. In some cases, He tells us to do it, and there is no reason. We just obey God Almighty.
Is any reason given in terms of worshipping or in this particular
Sure.
way? In that yeah?
Yes, of course. Let's go to the specific question that was asked about the Kaaba and why do we face it? We go around it and kiss it and do the same thing. And we address this question with a logic now. Let's talk about it. First of all, we have to understand that we do not worship idols, nor that we use anything that has anything to do with the stones. However, we have to understand that this house was supposed to be the first house of worship on the face of the earth. God Almighty says, this is where you're supposed to look, or when you prostrate or you pray, this is what you face. So the command comes from God Almighty that we're supposed to فَوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Where this is where you face toward the Kaaba. We used to face the Jerusalem, Bayt al-Maqdis, and the furthest mosque, and now we got the command for God Almighty to do that. And that was also a test of aqidah, belief, and Rasul who was the hypocrite, he wasn't, and so on. But coming back into the masjid, and we will know that it was built by Prophet Abraham. Another narration was built by Prophet Adam, rebuilt by Prophet Abraham, assistant with his son, Prophet Ishmael. That we worship it, don't know, of course. We face it is like a source of the link to the heart. And the best way I usually tell my brothers and sisters is if you're trying to get a signal, trying to get an HBO signal or halal movies or whatever you want to watch that is halal, inshallah, you're trying to move the satellite dish to pick up the signal. This is our signal to the heart, to pick up the signal of iman, of belief. Is that. So every Muslim around the world is facing the same qibla, direction of the Kaaba. So it's a sign of unity. It's a command of God Almighty, and that's the reason we do it. We go around it and we kiss it. Do we worship it? No. We were told that Umar al-Khattab, he saw Prophet Muhammad kiss it. So we follow the sunnah, the teaching of the Prophet. And he said the same thing. Wallahi, I know that you're only a mere stone. You cannot harm, no, you cannot benefit. But I'm doing it because of the Prophet Muhammad did it, so I'm following the sunnah.
Okay, let me go to another question.
Sure.
Here is a question from a young Muslim who expresses the fact that he's been experiencing a lot of doubts, especially since nowadays there's a rise of atheism. Atheists have written books and so on. So how do you convince a person that God exists?
That's a good question indeed. Now there was the same obviously argument was given prior to that to the righteous, let's say Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. He was also saying the same thing. There's a creation. He says, you know, it's amazing. When I came to you, I had to cross the water, and all of a sudden I saw a tree cut itself up into planks, and it shaped itself into a boat, and all of a sudden I saw screws and nails go in, and two trees just popped out and gave me two oars, and I came to you with that boat that you see me coming to you now with. He goes, are you crazy? Do you expect us the trees will do that and out of nobody and they will do this? I said, are you crazy? You're trying to tell me all this creation came out of nobody and you can't even believe that something came out for things existing? That's one argument. The other argument, of course, is waraqat al-tut, the leaf of the tree of mulberry. And he says that the camel eats it, gives it as a meat, and deer eats it, gives it as a perfume, musk, and the sheep eats it, gives it as milk. So who is the one that gave you the same source that will give you different outcome? There's so much obviously to talk about this. We don't have enough time to
go let me go to a last question. there are many verses of the Quran which mention something like the hand of God or the eyes of God or the face of God. So does that mean that Muslims conceive of God as having a particular shape, almost like a human being?
On the contrary, we as Muslims have a concrete belief that God Almighty, there is nothing like unto Him, because the Quran says that. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Another verse says, لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There is nothing like unto Him. So the scholar says, لَا تَطْمَعْ فِي مَعْرِفَةِ ذَاتِ اللَّهِ. Do not be greedy of knowing exactly who Allah God Almighty is. We know we will see Him on Judgment Day, and God Almighty will show us Himself. That's a promise. It's mentioned in prophetic tradition. And it's also وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ. And Allah will come and you will see Him. And the prophetic tradition says that you will see Him and you will talk to Him. No turjuman, no translator between you and Him. But in order for us to say that He has a hand, yes, He has a hand according to the Quran. But what does it look like and how many and all that stuff? It says, Allahu A'lam, it has not befitting His Majesty. Descends to this life, yes, this befitting His Majesty. Ahmad ibn Hanbal used to hide his hand behind his back when he used to speak about that verse, for people not to even think and ponder.
So he wouldn't indicate.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
All right, so these are the questions we have time for in this show. If you have a question yourself, visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. That's where you can send us your questions, your comments, and of course your donations, for that is how we stay on air. I would like to invite you also to watch some of our past episodes, which you might find stored on our website, and to invite you also to keep watching the show Let the Quran Speak. From all of us here at Let the Quran Speak, thank you for watching. Peace be with you. See you next week.